Hey, what's up guys? In this video, we're going to take a look at how to score a match. Whenever you and your alliance partner run the match at the end of the first 30-second autonomous period and at the end of the 90-second driver controlled period, the referees are going to score your match, and I'm going to talk to you about how they're going to do that so you know what's coming up. So let me flip the camera around and let's take a look at some examples. All right, so here is a copy of the score sheet. You're going to notice a couple of things right off the bat. First things first, there's going to be two teams playing the match at the same time. So we talked about having a robot located in that safe zone and a robot located in that safe zone. Those are two different teams. So we'll have one team standing on this corner and one team standing over there. And then when the match starts, the 30-second autonomous, those robots are going to be going on their own, right? According to the program that you've written ahead of time. And they're going to be doing a couple of things on their own. They're going to be acquiring elements, gathering elements, and getting money. So acquiring elements deals with the checkers on the center wall. So for 10 points each, you're going to try to get those checkers on your side of the table. Because remember, there's two more teams playing on the other side right there, playing on the other side of the table. This just represents two teams on this side. So you're going to try to get as many of these red checkers off of the center wall and on your side as possible. So at the end of 30 seconds, to be scored at the end of the 30-second autonomous period, they're going to count how many red checkers are on your side of the playing field and multiply by 10. So as it stands right now, that's 30 points, all right? So 30 points out of 80 points possible because there's 8 checkers there. So that's acquiring elements. Gathering elements, they're just gonna count the number of game elements inside of a safe zone, all right? And so remember, game elements are considered inside the safe zone if they are inside the black line, which means they're breaking the plane to find the perimeter of the safe zone. So let's look over here. This, inside. Let's get the dollar. That, inside. Let's go get a couple of checkers. Those, inside. Let's get some Legos. Inside. So at the end of 30 seconds, then we're gonna count. We've got $1, 1 dice, 2 checkers, and 2 Legos. So that is 60 points because we're multiplying those times 10 each for everything that is inside the safe zone, all right? Last but not least, for the 30-second autonomous, robot is stopped on touching or over breaking the vertical plane of the fake money. So let's say that your robot ended up right there, then you get those 50 points because that robot is on the money, all right? It's either touching or it's over. Let's take a look at this. Ooh, look at that. If I get right over the top of that, that is parked over. It's not touching, but it's breaking the plane, the vertical plane of that. And so if we go back and look at the rules, it's touching, or in this case, it's over the fake money. So even though you might look and think, oh, that's not it, but if you go look over here, that is it. It's breaking the plane. So that's 50 points right there. Now, if the other robot, let's get him over, he drives over and finishes up there, and he's touching as well, then we take those 50 points and multiply times 2 robots, because there's 2 robots stopped on or over the fake money, all right? So that's gonna be assessed at the end of the 30-second autonomous period, okay? Now, we got a big jumble of stuff right here. Let's take a look and talk about what happens at the end of the 30 seconds. So let's just say 30 seconds is over and this is what we ended up with, okay? So first things first, both robots have to be reset. So this robot has to go back and he gets reset for driver controlled. So he has to be touching the safe zone. This robot has to be touching the safe zone. Now he's already touching the safe zone, but a team could reset him so that he starts in a predetermined location. All right? So he can be reset, but none of these game elements can be moved. So everything, all of those, all of those, all of those, they can't move after the 30 seconds is over. Okay? They stay put while you're resetting for the driver controlled portion. Now, once the 90-second driver control portion starts, then since these game elements are in the safe zone, I can immediately pick those up. But I have to wait for the game to start back up before I can interact with those. Does that make sense? So during the transition time, after the 30-second autonomous, but before the 90-second driver controlled, we are not allowed to interact with those in any way, okay? There is one exception. Let's say at the end of the 30-second autonomous period, there are two pieces on my robot, right? My robot has to be reset. I can reset this robot, watch me. I can reset this robot inside touching the safe zone and not touch those game elements. Did you see that? That's okay. I can't do anything with those because all I'm supposed to be doing is resetting my robot. So I can reset that robot, and if there happen to be game elements on it and they get moved as well, that's cool because all I'm doing is resetting the robot. I'm not touching any game elements. All right. Now, once the 90-second driver controlled portion starts, there's different ways that we can get points. So at the end of 90 seconds, then the judges are going to do a couple of things. They're going to look for widgets that you've made. They're going to look for unattached game elements, and they're going to look to see if you stopped on or over the money. All right. So let's talk about making widgets. So a widget is a combination of 2, 3, 4, or 5 game elements that happen to be touching each other and a target. And a target is 2 circles and a plus, right? Or 2 lines. So this is a widget right there. I see 4 pieces or 4 elements touching each other, but that is a unscored widget because it's not touching a target. So now it happens to be touching a target. So now that is worth some points. So let's go back over here and look at there. So 4 element widget is worth 80 points. So right here, 80 points. If I only had 3 elements touching the target, it'd be 60 points. That, 40 points. You get the idea, right? And this can be touching any part of the target. So that makes it even easier. If that's like right on top of the target, boom, that's definitely a widget and that's definitely touching the target. So we're cool with that. What about something like this? If your robot can make a widget right there, those are 4 pieces. They're clearly touching each other and they're clearly touching the target. So that's a scoreable widget right there. Excellent. What if part of it is touching the target and other parts of it are not? What about that? Well, I see 4 pieces, 4 game elements that are touching each other, and part of that widget is touching a target. So we're good with that. That's 80 points right there. Everybody okay with that? And the idea is you can get a whole bunch of scoreable widgets touching either individual targets, or in this case, I could have 2 widgets on the same target. So you can see right there, that's a 4 element widget worth 80 points. And then right there, that is a 3 element widget worth 60 points on the same target. So that's pretty cool. And of course, you could do that on any of the 5 targets that you want to. All right, so back to the score sheet. They're gonna look first off for widgets. We're gonna count and multiply times those multipliers, and that's how we figure that up. Now, cleanup. Unattached game elements are a penalty, okay? So let's say that this right there, that we're looking at the red checker, right? So that is attached. That's part of a widget. But if something were to happen and that kind of falls off right there, that is now an unattached game element because it's not part of a widget anymore. Right now, that is only a 3-element widget with this sad little unattached piece right there, okay? So according to the rules, unattached game elements completely inside the big circle, well, you can see that that's an unattached game element inside the big circle. So that's gonna have to be a penalty right there, okay? So that's a 5-point penalty. Now, it's not the same thing if it's on one of the targets outside. So let's just say, let me see if I can get this to work real quick. All right, so we're outside of the big circle and we're looking at this widget. So that is a 4-element widget because all 4 Lego pieces are touching each other and they're touching the target. But if something were to happen and those unfortunately get separated, we still have a 2-element widget right there worth 40 points. But then we have these unattached pieces right there. That is not a penalty, even though they're not attached because they're outside of the big circle. Does that make sense? All right, hope so. And so that is the cleanup involved right there. We're just gonna count the number of unattached pieces and multiply times 5 and subtract those penalty points. And then last but not least, the robot. Is it gonna be stopped on or over the fake money? So let's say that you've used the fake money for part of a widget, just like that. And then at the end of the match, the end of the 90 seconds, that robot is able to touch. That right there is worth 25 points because you have one robot, 25 times 1, 25 points right there. If your other robot can happen to drive and either touch or be over the money, okay, so this robot right there, clearly not touching, but part of that robot is over the money. Let me see if you can get a good view right there. Definitely over the money. Then that's another 25 points right there because it has broken the plane, broken the vertical plane of that dollar. So I hope that's helpful. Those are all of the scoring options you have available to you. So what's gonna happen at the end of the match, the referees plug in all these numbers, add everything up, and you're gonna get an autonomous score and you'll get a driver control score, and they're gonna add those 2 things up together. And both teams, both robots, are sharing the points. So whatever the match scores, if the match scores 180 points, then both teams get 180 points. They just get the same score because they worked together. It doesn't matter if one robot did a lot of stuff and another robot didn't do very many things. Both partner alliance teams share in the points, okay? So they get whatever the alliance gets. All right, so I think that's all you need to know about scoring. Of course, if I've left anything out or if you have any questions, you can always ask on the discussion board on the TCEA website. Hope this was helpful, and good luck to you as you come up with a strategy to get as many points as you can. See you later.